So, if we're defining career assessments, we'd say something like it being a process of assessing your best skills, strengths, and weaknesses to figure out the best career suited for your personality. So, very different than intelligence testing, since this takes skills and interests into the equation. The definition and applications of a career assessment aren't universal. They're rather flexible as, the context in which they're used in. Career assessments are tools that are designed to help individuals understand how a variety of personal attributes like data values, preferences, motivations, aptitudes, and skills impact their potential successes and satisfaction with different career options and work environments. In simple words, career assessment is a large and growing area. More individuals are using assessments to determine what types of jobs or careers might fit them the best, and more organizations are using career assessment tools to help them find the best candidates to fill vacant positions. A large variety of career assessment tools exist, and they're used depending on what type of information the individual or organization wants to gather. So, what is career assessment? There's some important points to keep in mind about career assessments. And the first is that career assessment is not a test. Although the various tools used for career assessment may be tests like Inform and Function, like they use standardized test formats or multiple choice answers, they aren't tests in the sense that there's right and wrong answers to any of the questions. So when we're analyzing the results, what's important is finding a pattern of the results which reflects a person's interest and abilities. So someone might answer one way and another person might respond entirely differently. And it's not that one person is right and the other's wrong, but more that the two people are best suited for different types of jobs altogether. The second being that the results of a career assessment are not set in stone. People's interests and abilities can change over time as they explore new areas and learn new things. Therefore, the results of career assessment should not be taken as deterministic or set in stone. It's possible that over the course of a lifetime, a person's career assessment results may change dramatically. So it's a process that individuals may want to complete several times over the course of their lives. Career assessments use many different tools. A career assessment isn't just one thing, it's a process potentially involving many different tools. Two of the tools most commonly used by career counselors and career assessors are going to be the Myers Briggs Type Indicator, which is a personality test, and the Strong Interest Inventory, which compares an individual's interest to the interests of people working in various occupations. Companies often use personality tests and skills assessment developed either in house or by a third party, and a plethora of new tools has appeared in recent years, many of which can be taken online for free. A key factor for any career assessment is validity, which remember from weeks 1 and 2 is the degree to which the assessment actually measures what it's supposed to and thus can be used to draw meaningful conclusions. And many people associate career assessments with vocational occupation, like trades only, but this is not an accurate representation. Today, with a wide range of assessments available and with organizations relying more and more on data to drive their decision making, career assessment tools are being used to determine goodness of fit for everyone from entry level tradespeople to managers. Remember some of you discussing personality tests as part of a workplace hiring strategy. And this may be linked to making sure that the work and the career would be a good fit for you. And lastly, career assessment is beneficial for everybody. Finding the right job is just as important for individuals as finding the right candidate for companies. Career assessments can help people learn more about the types of jobs that are available and how they might perform in various occupations. On the other hand, career assessments can also save companies time and money by helping them to identify the best candidates. So when we put all of these elements together, we can achieve a pretty good career assessment definition. Career assessment is a multifaceted process of assessing individuals' current interests and abilities to help people find their ideal jobs and companies find their ideal candidates. Starting with career assessment methods, there's interest inventories, work values inventories, personality inventories, tons of inventories out there. But we'll start with talking about interest inventories. Career interest assessments help individuals determine their interests and match them with occupations that fit those interests. Widely used tools in this category include the self-directed search, which classifies both people and working environments according to 6 categories: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional, or the RISEC, and the Strong Interest Inventory, SII, or the Campbell Interest and Skill Survey. So once you know what category you fit into, you can find a matching career. The strong interest inventory is another widely used interest assessment, and this tool matches individuals' interests with the interests of people working in various occupations. It also helps people identify how they learn best. And then there's work values inventories. Values assessment help people determine their priorities in terms of both career and lifestyle. So, for example, are you more interested in tangible rewards such as money or intangible rewards such as the chance to make an impact, the chance to help somebody else? Do you prefer physical or intellectual challenges? Do you like independence or do you prefer to be told exactly what to do on the job? Is it important for you to live in a city or do you prefer suburban or rural settings? The answers to these questions can help people make better decisions for their future. And personality tests are used to identify the jobs that match your personality type and maybe perhaps the most widely used career assessment tool available. These tools identify an individual's personality traits, including strengths and weaknesses, communication, motivation, preferences, decision making styles, and so much more. The Myers Briggs Type Indicator is one of the most widely used personality assessments. It helps people understand their personality preferences and identify careers that are well matched to those preferences. Personality tests, such as those, measure leadership style, communication, and how well people respond to adversity. So, those are also widely used by companies to predict how well an individual might perform on the job. And these tests can take a variety of forms, from multiple choice questions to having test takers select adjectives describing them from a list. And we'll talk so much more about personality tests in the next lecture, so I'm not going to linger here. The career development instruments. So, the concept of career development has been used to describe both the process by which the individuals make career choices appropriate to their age and stage of development, and their ability to successfully transition through the specific developmental tasks of each of those stages. Also known as career maturity, career development takes into account both attitudinal and cognitive dimensions. Attitudinal dimensions include individuals' attitudes and feelings about making an effective career choice. Cognitive dimensions involve their awareness of the need to make a career decision and their understanding about their vocational preferences. Career development is particularly important in career assessment with adolescents. At this stage in life, teenagers often have to make important educational and career decisions that they're not developmentally ready to make. Most adolescents are unable to integrate their interests, skills, and abilities in focusing on a particular career goal, which is the main objective of a career assessment. Therefore, helping adolescents evaluate their skills and interests and engage in career exploration is an important goal of career counseling with individuals at this age. Many career development instruments can be utilized to help counselors assess a client's attitudes, career awareness, and knowledge. These instruments can provide counselors with valuable information about the career development and educational needs of clients and can provide survey information to help in planning career guidance programs. Career development is a continuous process, and various points throughout life, most likely people are going to have a variety of decisions concerning their career. Examples of career development instruments include the Career Maturity Inventory, the Career Development Inventory, and the Career Factors Inventory. And then combined assessment programs. The trend in career assessment is to include interests, values, and other dimensions such as aptitude, career development, and maturity. So mix all of the above together. Just like testing and assessment, we provide multiple tests to be able to more fully assess. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about some of the specific assessments that we might use in career counseling. And the first one that we're going to dig into is the self-directed search. So the self-directed search, or SDS, was developed by Dr. John L. Holland and is one of the most widely used career interest inventories in the world. It's been translated into over 25 different languages, and the SDS is based on Dr. Holland's RACEC theory that both people and work and study environments can be classified according to 6 basic types: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional, or RACEC for short. The SDS enables users to choose occupations and fields of study that best match their self-reported skills and interests. It's based on the idea that people whose job and work environments are most closely matching their personal style and interests tend to consider themselves satisfied and successful with the occupational choices that they've made. The SDS Form R is the most common version of the instrument. In the assessment booklet, users answer questions about their occupational aspirations in a daydream section, which can be scored separately to yield a vocational aspirations code or expressed interest code. Sections with lists of activities, competencies, and occupations follow the daydream section. The final section includes ratings for ability self-estimates across 6 RASEC areas. The latter 5 sections of the SDSR can be scored to produce 3-letter summary code that designates the 3 personality types an individual most closely resembles, and this is called the assessed code. The SDS is both a standalone career planning simulation that imitates an interest inventory as well as a psychological test. The original paper and pencil SDS has been revised 4 times and most recently in 1994. And this includes the assessment booklet, the occupations finder with over 1,000 occupations listed, and these occupations employ 99% of United States workers. Normative data for the 1994 edition was derived from nationally representative sample of over 2,000 students, high school and college, and working adults in the United States. And there's also a computer-based version that provides for faster administration and more efficient use of the inventory. And the computer generates a 10 to 12 page interpretive report for users based on the SDS summary scores and a 1 to 3 page professional summary for counselors. So in his writings, Holland had urged counselors to pay close attention to what a person says about the occupations that they're considering. Occupational aspirations are equal to or exceed predictions of future occupational activity available in standardized inventory. In other words, people's expressed interests may be just as predictive of future occupational activity than their assessed interests. And so when the SDS was first introduced, some critics viewed it as simplistic. However, more recent reviews have noted that the Holland's inventory is extensive. The SDS is unique in several ways. It's self-administering, self-scoring, and self-interpreting. It's based on Holland's theory, and it's supported by extensive research. The SDS is an inventory with desirable psychometric characteristics and incorporates a person's history of vocational daydreams, which can be used to increase predictive validity and to form an impression of a person's goals and background, and encourages the immediate preliminary exploration of more than 1,000 occupations. Because it's self-scored and can be interpreted by most people, it encourages a person's active participation in the resolution of career problems and questions. The strong interest inventory, or commonly referred to just as the strong, is one of the most widely used and scientifically grounded tools available for assessing people's career and life interests. The strong measures an individual's work and personal interest and compares them to those of people employed in a wide range of occupations. It's used to help people match their interests with compatible occupational, educational, and leisure pursuits. The 2004 edition of the Strong is a product of many years of research that began in 1927 with the research of E.K. Strong, a military psychologist and professor at Stanford University. The original Strong was titled the Strong Vocational Interest Blank, and it consisted of occupational scales that were constructed through comparing item responses from individuals working in particular occupations with item responses of general preference samples. So the Strong Vocational Interest Blank became the first formal interest inventory to be published. At that time, only male samples were used, and in 1933, the first women's form was published. Eventually, in 1974, the men's and women's forms were combined, and Holland's 6 dimensions were integrated to provide an organizing structure, and the name was changed to the Strong Campbell Interest Inventory, and several revisions followed, resulting in additional scales and improved psychometrics. In the 1980s, the name of the inventory was changed again to the Strong Interest Inventory, which remains its current name. The Strong has been updated regularly to reflect changes in the culture of the United States workforce and adapt to shifting career trends. It continues to be one of the leading inventories used by counselors in a variety of settings, including colleges, high schools, career development centers, and business organizations. The Strong requires at least an 8th grade reading level and fluency in English, and it's not appropriate for individuals under the age of 13, and typically is not administered until an individual has reached the age of 16 or 17. The Strong assessment comprises 6 sections of items with a total of 291 items, each with 5-point response options. So strongly dislike, indifferent, like, and strongly like. Individuals' responses are compared to a general sample of working men and women who are generally representative of the racial and ethnic diversity of the U.S. workforce. Administration typically takes between 30 and 45 minutes. Individuals can complete the Strong online through the publisher's website. So it's www.skillsone.com, skillsone.com, or manually using just paper and pencil scoring forms. The resulting 9-page strong profile is sent to the counselor, not directly to the client, and the publisher offers a number of tailored reports and strong profile options such as the strong college profile, the strong high school profile, and interpretive report to tailor results to specific populations and needs. For example, the strong college profile provides a 4-page supplement to the profile to help the client and counselor connect the results to college majors, college courses, and campus activities that correspond with the client's top interests. Counselors need to demonstrate coursework in psychometrics or test interpretation or complete a workshop endorsed by the publisher to qualify for ordering the Strong. The publisher offers a wide array of support materials to assist with interpretation. Both the manual and several users' guides offer detailed instruction for interpreting various types of profiles with individuals and groups. So, the strong profile description presents an individual's interest through 4 sets of scales and uses John Holland's theory of the 6 vocational personality types as an organizing structure. The 4 sections include the following: the general occupational themes, the basic interest scales, the occupational scales, and the personal style scales. In addition, a number of administrative indexes are provided to help the counselor detect any unusual response patterns. And individual scores are compared to both men and women samples, and the majority of scores on the profile draw attention to comparisons with samples of the individual's same gender. A profile page is provided on the last page of the profile. The page summarizes the individual's highest themes, top 5 specific interest areas, top 10 occupations, and each personal style scale preference. The areas of the least interest to the individual are also summarized here. The purpose of this page is to help the individual focus on common interest themes that are consistent throughout the profile. And the Strong is one of the most extensively researched inventories available. The developers engaged in significant research to support the current edition, and numerous scholars have published a large body of literature to support the instrument throughout its history. The Strong Interest Inventory Manual provides a detailed description of the research that led to item selection, scale construction, reference sample collection, and scoring. Evidence for both the validity and reliability for each set of scales on the Strong is impressive and provides strong support for confident use of the Strong with a variety of client populations. Used appropriately, it serves as a dependable tool for helping clients make informed career, academic, and life decisions. So, we have to talk about some of the problems. It's not all rainbows and sunshine in the career assessment category. So, some of the problems with interest inventories is that interest doesn't equate with aptitude. So, just because someone is interested doesn't mean they'd be a good fit for it. For example, I think astronauts and jet pilots are really cool, and it would just be a really neat job to have. Like, have you even seen the new Top Gun movie? Like, I am so interested in that. But I'm also really bad at math and thinking on my feet, especially in high stress situations. So just because I'm interested doesn't mean that it's the right job for me. And there's an impact of self-reporting on reliability of results. So this one's basically saying that, I can skew the test scores to make it say what I want, since it's a fairly easy with those tests to know how to answer if you're trying to get a certain result. And clients can change interests over time. Just because I'm into the idea of being a pilot now doesn't mean that 10 years down the road, I'd still want to do that. And your cohort, I think, is a great example of this. So many of you have had a career change that has brought you into the counseling field. Was counseling always the right answer? Maybe, maybe not. Sometimes we have to move through a career pathway to know that it's not the end goal. So if you look at those tests 15 years ago and then took them now, your results would probably be very different. And that's just reflecting that you've changed, as you should. adolescents also may lack experience to respond to interest inventories. So, do you remember high school? How could we possibly know at 17 or 18 what we'd want to do for the rest of our lives, or even fully grasp what a career would entail? I'm thinking that even now, there's so many more new occupations or career options available that never even existed when I was 18, like a social media influencer or Bitcoin. There's so many new tech jobs. None of that stuff was really around then. And so these tests will need to change to match the occupations that actually exist and move throughout time. And job success is usually correlated more to abilities than interests. Clients may respond in socially desirable ways, so we have to monitor how they're responding. And socioeconomic class may affect the pattern of scores on an interest inventory. And lastly, sociocultural expectations of interest or jobs may also impact results. So, next up, we'll talk about work values inventories. And the most widely accepted definition of values comes from the seminal work of Rockich in 1973, who defined values as enduring beliefs that a specific mode of conduct or end state of existence is personally or socially preferable to an opposite or converse mode of conduct or end state of existence. In this definition, Rockich regards values as stable beliefs that can refer to oneself or others, like society. Values may be enduring, yet Rockich also believed that values can change as people learn to make decisions favoring one value over another. Aspects of a job or occupation are important to a person's satisfaction are called work values. Work values are an important determinant in career decision making and account for a significant part of job satisfaction and tenure. Super, another researcher, believed that understanding an individual's value structure is important in clarifying goals and determining the psychological appropriateness of a given type of training or employment. Work values can include such dimensions as prestige and recognition, independence, social interaction, compensation, and working conditions. Work values inventories are used to identify an individual's work-related values in order to match that individual with suitable job choices. Examples of work value inventories include the Super's Work Value Inventory Revised, or the Rockich Value Survey, the Salience Inventory, the Hall Occupational Orientation Inventory, 4th edition, and the Minnesota Importance Questionnaire. And Super's Work Values Inventory Revised measures the relative importance of specific work values that are considered important in career decision making. It can be given to middle and high school students, college students, adults who are planning to enter, continue, or leave a given educational program, occupation, or job, and it can be administered online, so you don't have to worry about that paper and pencil scoring. And every occupation requires a different mix of knowledge, skills, and abilities. Therefore, an important function of career assessment is helping an individual identify current and potential abilities and skills and the career options that capitalize on them. The term ability refers to one's present day skills or capabilities to perform a specific task, whether physical or cognitive, or, maybe as counselors, we would also consider emotional ability. Abilities are considered to be innate, neurologically based, fairly stable characteristics of the individual. In contrast, skills may come from educational experiences, work experiences, and personal life experiences. Related to abilities, the term aptitude refers to one's potential capabilities, which can include the potential ability to learn or succeed in future endeavors. So, maybe to summarize, abilities are ingrained, skills can be learned. In career assessment, instruments that appraise skills and abilities are used to help individuals identify job possibilities that their skills and abilities suggest. This involves assessing abilities that can be immediately transferred into job-related skills. To help clients choose jobs or careers that offer them a high likelihood of success, counselors need to be familiar with the duties and abilities required of various occupations. By having knowledge of a client's abilities and abilities required of a wide variety of occupations, counselors can help propose career options that capitalize on a client's current and potential strengths, right? So my jet pilot example. My counselor would need to know that a career would require a high level of math, logic, visual spatial skills, In addition to organization, attention to detail, and often unpredictable work hours, time away from home and family, a high level of responsibility, and apt decision making skills. Maybe a lack of fear of heights and speed. So, if my therapist knew all of that, we could have a conversation about how it might or might not be a good fit for me. But if my counselor didn't know anything about that job, then the conversation might look a lot like, wow, you really seem interested. Absolutely. Quit your day job, spend a lot of money on school, and you should just really chase that dream. So there's tons of resources listed in your book about finding out more information. And remember that career counseling is its own specialty area. But no matter what specialty or population you work in, you will end up using these skills. So if this specialty area isn't exactly where you find yourself landing, just familiarity with where to find resources is enough for right now. And so I think it's also important to talk about interviews. Career counselors use interviews to gather information about the client's work experience, education and training, interests, leisure activities. And this part always reminds me of that scene from The Office where, for some reason, Dwight lists his karate skills on his resume. And while that show's meant to be funny, it actually really is important to talk about leisure activities for multiple reasons. When I'm doing employment interviews for my site, so much valuable information can be gained about talking to the interviewee about their hobbies, their pets, their children. It helps me assess their values, their self-care habits, their personality. In counseling interviews, part of what I'm doing is making sure that the person I'm interviewing is somebody that I want to talk to, someone that the clients would want to talk to. It's not all about skills or do you know the 4 pillars of DBT. It's a lot about being personable and relaxed and just fun to talk to. So maybe that'll help you in future interviews for internship or for jobs. But back to the main point, hobbies. Or for me, for example, I have hobbies and interests in art. So whenever something comes up at work that requires something artistic, they come to me first and asked if I'm interested in that project. And it's really nice that they thought of me. And while it's outside of my normally expected duties, I get to do something else as what I love as part of my work. So there's some sample questions when we're thinking about interviews. So some of those questions might be like, would you give me a brief review of your employment experiences? Or what is your educational background? Or do you have any unique experience or interest that might be related to the choice of career, such as hobbies or special interests? Why have you decided at this time to change careers? Or tell me about your ideas about new or different careers. If you've ever been on a job interview before, some of these seem a little self-explanatory or they might sound really familiar to you. So don't freak out about interviews. It's just it's another way of gathering data for our assessment. So this last slide just has information about employment interviews on it. And you can read through the slide a little bit more in depth to get all of that information. I think it's a little self-explanatory, but just to sort of summarize everything that we've talked about today, there's so many approaches to career and employment assessment, and career employment tests have had this long history beginning with Strong's interest inventory in the 1920s. And these tests have proven to be good measures of vocational success, but many factors need to be considered. The maturity, socioeconomic class, the educational level of the client all play important roles in assessing interests and career satisfaction. Environment and hereditary issues are also involved. A client may not have had the opportunities and experiences necessary to make valid judgments. Family, societal, and peer expectations may influence an individual's pattern of behavior, and temperament may influence an individual's preferences. Career counselors need to have a comprehensive knowledge of the world of work, as well as extensive knowledge of assessment techniques and counseling procedures.